Now, I'm not gonna lie, Kanye West is one of my favorite artists of all time when it comes to music in general. I know how to separate the artist from the art itself. Obviously, he's been wilding out for a while now, but it's progressively gotten worse over time. Hasn't crashed out in a while. Maybe he has, but I haven't caught wind of it. But there's a concept that Kanye is Anakin Skywalker theory, and I've never heard it. I'm intrigued. So let's see what it is. Alright, this video is brought to us by King Benny Garcia. I've never seen one of his videos at all. Hopefully it's good. But the whole concept itself, man, got me intrigued.
I mean, I told my gym teacher freshman year, like, man, I ain't coming to gym class no more. I'm finna be signed this year. She gonna come to me senior year, like, yo, what's up with that record deal?
Kanye West was once one of the most beloved figures in hip-hop. His story was that of a fairy tale and something that made you feel confident that at the end of the day, good overcomes bad.
I see good things about Hitler also.
Oh wait, no, good overcomes bad. That's it. Wait, no, he said bad overcomes good. I don't even know what he said. Usually it's supposed to be good, it's supposed to overcome bad, but yeah, bro transformed. You know what's crazy about this whole situation? I actually reacted to this way back in the day. It was the first video that I ever had be not available to post, and I was like, what? I was so irritated because like there was so many other like big content creators who reacted to this interview in particular, and I wanted to bring, because I feel like there's a lot of people that would like Kanye West music in general that are significantly younger, because I remember when I was in like middle school and the jokes we would make and the ignorance we had and not truly understanding stuff like this, you know, especially like World War II, you know, the guy with the funny mustache and all that kind of stuff. And you know, there's with social media in general, I mean, me being Gen Z, the topper portion of it, the oldest version, we grew up with social media. You know, we grew up with MySpace. We grew up with fucking Neopets and Webkins. I had sisters, bro. But we grew up with that shit, bro. So we are not as vulnerable, I would say, as a lot of the kids that they come into the world and the shit's already established. You know what I mean? It really can shape your mind. And I mean, it can shape your mind regardless of who you are. Shit, you could be a boomer. You could be old as hell. So, like, you know, for the kids, I was really trying to like, talk about this situation because that shit's not good at all. But, yeah, his I don't know.
I see good things about Hitler also.
Which, I mean, it's a terrible thing to say, but if you want to boil it down, there were some beneficial things that happened with World War II. No one wants to talk about those situations because obviously the great are evil. But like highways and stuff like that, that was invented, I believe, by the German regime at the time. And then they did a bunch of experiments that I think eventually led into, I mean, if you believe it or not, being able to get the man on the moon because of having human tests with them in the vacuum of space and shit like that.
In the last couple of years, the story of Kanye West has become corrupted. A man that let his shadow overtake his once joy.
I haven't even seen this interview. I've seen clips of it. This is insane. I don't even want to watch it because like this shit's... He's just like, I just feel like at this point he's like dug himself into such a huge hole. I mean, he just got to play into it. You know what I mean? He's got to be the villain. He's got to be the Joker. There's got to be someone that people hate.
Joyful spirit. With the fairy tale that once was the story of Kanye becoming something much, much more sinister, it became the story of Anakin Skywalker.
I think ever since, like, if you want to point to a point in his life where he like kind of fell off, I think after probably when he was making was it My Beautiful Paradise, My Dark Evil Paradise, or whatever that album's called. Phenomenal album, by the way. But he does have a lot of moments in that album where he does talk about like jumping out the window, jumping off a cliff type shit. I'm not gonna say it exactly because, you know, the algorithm and everything, but he does, you know, refer to that a whole bunch. And before that, he was the guy that made talking about your feelings, your insecurities, love, happiness, all kinds of different things popular. Because at that time with rap, it was really about gangster rap.
You underestimate underestimate my power.
Oh my god.
So for a little bit of context, last month was my first time experiencing the world of Star Wars. Or should I say galaxy. I watched episode 4, 5, and 6. I watched episode 1, 2, and 3.
Perfect order in my opinion. But here's the thing though, if you know anything about Star Wars, most people know about Luke, I am your father. If you're somehow ignorant to that, or your friend is ignorant to that information, bro, y'all have to like, you gotta pop his cherry. Because the amount of like people in the world that don't understand the I am your father plot twist, I think it's almost zero, bro. I feel like everyone's got to know at this point. It's one of the most iconic things in movies. Therefore, it's, you know, very well known even to the people that haven't even seen the movies. So if you don't know anything about it, or your friend doesn't, bro, like, man, I grew up watching the movie, so I didn't get to appreciate that moment as an adult, or just, you know, a young adult.
And even though I was enthused by how they pulled off some of the more futuristic aspects of the filmmaking in the first 3, there was one character that I really became enamored with.
Don't choke on your aspirations, critic.
Throughout the original trilogy, there was no other character of which I wanted to see more. I wanted to understand how this guy became this guy and what causes him to snap. And obviously they allude to it, but I wanted to know what made Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader. On the other hand, as I thought about video ideas and Kanye West came to mind, I began toying around with the idea of the moment in which Kanye West became Ye. And to be honest with you, I struggled. Unsurprisingly, Kanye has always been a bit of a controversial figure, to say the least.
100%.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
This stunt was crazy, but like, let's be real. The shit, I think it was probably the Life of Pablo tour. I think the Life of Pablo was the last album where I think is like just pure excellence. You know, he started doing other projects and stuff like that, but that album's so phenomenal. But I remember, like, who remembers when Kanye was on the stage, and I believe it was the Life of Pablo tour, and he had this like weird balcony in the arena where he was like hanging from the ceiling. He was on like this platform stage thing, and everyone was around him, and he just started like ranting about Jay-Z and a whole bunch of people, you know, being scared of him and stuff like that. Or I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but I think that was like the moment when I was like, ooh, this guy might be he might be too far gone. And then I think after that's when he got hospitalized for the first time, or at least to my knowledge. That time period itself, and a lot of people want to say, you know, it's Kim's fault, or it's, you know, the death of his mother. There's a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into those really, but you know, he's a rapper that got famous off of talking about his insecurities in life, and I mean, his upbringing and shit like that. So, and then he's also wedged into the Kardashian family, which is, like, I was saying how, like, I feel bad for the generations that are born into this world now, because social media is already so well established, and the algorithms are as well. But living with the Kardashians, you're constantly being recorded and filmed and judged and shit like that. And obviously he wasn't like a main character or anything like that, but I mean, your wife is, and she's got, you know, tapes and shit like that. And I don't know, I would really like to like hear from some like psychologist or something to like kind of break down what they think happened to Kanye West, or Ye, or whatever he wants to be called.
Sure, the story of Kanye West seemed to be awesome, but you also had to ignore a lot of the troubling tendencies of Kanye. Truthfully, to pinpoint the moment where Kanye becomes engulfed in rage and hatred and attention seeking seemed almost impossible. So I began listening through Kanye's discography in search of an answer, and then I found the answer I was looking for.
But if they ever flip sides like Anakin, you will sell everything, including the mannequin.
Okay, it wasn't an answer I was looking for. It did make me realize that the best to understand why things happen in real life is to dissect art. And just like I had become enamored with what made Anakin Skywalker Darth Vader,
this concept is actually genius. Shout out to the guy that made it, because art itself you can tell a lot about a person through the art, and you can like look at their life and kind of try to figure things out. Obviously, you won't know exactly what the artist was thinking unless they talk about it. Which I mean, there's a lot of interviews and stuff like that, so he could probably get a really good idea about it. But no, this is a genius idea, man.
Is going to find out how Kanye West became Ye. After all, art, especially art that is consumed by children, is just people talking about real life in a simplified way. And honestly, the story of Anakin and the story of Kanye West is a story only separated by 1,000 galaxies. Or how
I think it's also separated because when you talk about Darth Vader in general, you think of Luke and Leia. Does he even have a son? I don't think he has a son, Kanye. But also they were separated from their father. Didn't know much about their father at all. I don't know exactly what information Leia was told. I can't recall if there is any information out there about her understanding of her father and stuff like that. But I mean, Kanye's kids know who Kanye is. They might not be seeing him as much as they used to, but they know who he is. So I wouldn't say that, you know, we're gonna have a Luke or Leia situation. I don't know.
However many galaxies separates the fucking Star Wars galaxies and this one. But before we establish the stories of Anakin Skywalker and Kanye West, I do think it's important to understand that above everything else, the driving factor for both Anakin and Kanye, the thing that makes them do everything that they do, is love and wearing their hearts on their sleeves. They also both have metal parts in their bodies, so who knows, maybe the metal is toxic. Anyways, without understanding that, Kanye Anakin's story is a bit empty, or I guess hollow, because it almost seems ridiculous for someone to turn to the dark side until you actually understand who they are as a person. But to understand what I mean, let's go back to the very beginning. Our story starts in a place not too distant from Chicago, in Tatooine, where a young slave by the name of Anakin Skywalker lived. And Anakin...
Was Kanye really from Chicago? Because I remember there was like some drama that Kanye like always talked about being from Chicago, but he really wasn't. I don't know if he is or not. I can't recall. I know Chicago means a lot to him, and he lived in Chicago with his mom, I believe, back in the day. Because I saw that one, it was on Netflix or something like that. There's like a really cool documentary about the guy that like was friends with Kanye and just hanged out with him and filmed him constantly because he knew that Kanye was gonna pop off pretty much. I don't even think they're cool anymore. I think Kanye got beef with that guy now.
His early life is low-key a mystery because Anakin is basically Star Wars Jesus and has no dad. Even his place of birth is unknown because according to Anakin in episode 1, him and his mom moved when he was only 3 years old because they were sold off in slavery.
Actually, Anakin's dad is Qui-Gon Jinn. No, I'm just kidding. His dad is technically the Force, but if you really want to break it down, you could say it's Palpatine's master, because he did this like weird thing where he tried to unbalance the Force and bring life into the world when he's not supposed to do it, and to balance the Force, Anakin was made. Yeah, but it's weird. There's like comic books written by Disney and shit.
How long have you been here?
Really odd.
Since I was very little. 3, I think.
It's Anakin's time in slavery that would develop a deep connection to his mom, a connection that characterizes a young Anakin Skywalker as the person that he is. And I mean, think about it like this kid turns away the chance of being a free person and would rather spend his life in slavery next to his mom. That's how deep their connection is.
I don't think he didn't do that. He went with Qui-Gon.
On the other hand of our story was a young Kanye West born in Atlanta, Georgia, to a dad by the name of Ray West, and more importantly, a mom by the name of Donda West.
Yeah, I have no idea about his father at all. I didn't even know he was in the picture.
And though Kanye would live with his mom and dad for the first few years of his life, at the age of 3, Kanye and his mom would move to Chicago following a divorce between Donda West and Ray West. This move would cause Kanye to develop a deep love for his mom that would remain unrivaled for the rest of his life. We're talking about the only person that would encourage Kanye to be creative, the only person that allowed Kanye West to be Kanye West, and for that, Kanye loved Donda more than he could possibly love anybody throughout his life. Back in Tatooine, Anakin finds his ticket out of slavery by way of Qui-Gon Jinn, which as far as I understand, he is one of the greatest Jedi Masters to have ever done it.
And she, who is Anakin's mother's Side piece.
For those who don't know, a Jedi Master is the highest rank that one can achieve in the Jedi Order, which is the blue lightsaber people, or green. It can also be
This guy doesn't know Star Wars. I love it though.
green. But please, to the Star Wars nerds that are out there watching this video, if you can leave a comment, like kind of explaining it more in detail, I would appreciate.
Bro, that would be a whole book. Anyone can have a different color. Like, I mean, Ahsoka, she showed Ahsoka just a second ago. She had like a white lightsaber. She had a blue lightsaber. She had a green lightsaber. I mean, she was never a master, but it doesn't matter. Like Mace Windu had a purple lightsaber. It doesn't matter what color your lightsaber is. I guess if it's red, you wouldn't be a Jedi Master because then you would be a Sith. That's pretty much the only one you need to know about. The red one means bad guy, typically.
But while you're at it, if you like hip hop, you should definitely subscribe to this channel. This is probably a video that isn't gonna do as well because it's a Star Wars video on a hip hop channel, but hopefully YouTube blesses me with the algorithm. Anyways, Jin takes Anakin out of slavery and brings him along as he believes that Anakin may be the chosen one, aka Star Wars Jesus, and the guy who apparently restores balance to the universe. Though Jin is Anakin's father figure, he ends up dying at the end of episode 1, which leaves Anakin under the mentorship of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All he does in these movies is fucking aura farm the whole time. Even when it's at Mustafar, that smug motherfucker's just standing there like this. And Anakin's like, you brought him to kill me. Bro's just still aura farming while he's like having this tragic breakdown.
Or Ben Kenobi, as some might call him. Which, as the story continues to...
And Ben still, he aura farms like a motherfucker too. I mean, when he killed Darth Maul in the cartoon, he aura farms.
Obi-Wan Kenobi essentially becomes Anakin Skywalker's older brother. Or at least that's the kind of mentorship that he leads with. And by the beginning of episode 2, Attack of the Clones, a decade has elapsed between the last time we saw Anakin and now. And we see an Anakin that's older, more confident, more sure in who he is. But more importantly, we see Anakin encounter the only person that can rival his love for his mother in Padme.
I would actually say that at this point in episode 2 of the Clone Wars, Anakin is more insecure about his own life and less confident than he was as a little kid. From like Phantom Menace, like straight up. And that might be a weird take, but his character, just the way that Hayden plays him, comes off a lot more. If we're just going by the movies, he comes off a lot more insecure, for sure. Which, I mean, is normal at that age, right? Because Anakin turned to, like, Darth Vader, I think he was, like, 22 years old or something.
Are you an angel? What? An angel.
Which, as I mentioned before, is the overwhelming characteristic that defines who Anakin Skywalker is. He lets his emotions control him. And because of that, he loves hard. That will matter as we continue with this video. But perhaps we should catch on to what that Kanye West kid is up to. Well, Kanye is now much older and much more confident in his skill. And though for the most part, people have neglected him as an artist, his skill in making beats gets him in the door to meet his future mentor and older brother figure in Jay-Z. And in this adventure, Kanye finds the one thing that might rival his love for his mom: fame. Almost more than anything, when you think about Kanye, you think about this person that is obsessed with being the best that he can be. And being...
No, I agree with that. I never even thought about it that way, but he is a true showman, and he loves to have the spotlight on him. And it doesn't matter if it's a negative or a positive one, which he soon learned.
Obsessed with being the best that you can be means being obsessed with fame. And
all
though
eyes
some
on
people
me
might see that as a strength, a lot of other people might see that as a weakness. But I promise you that regardless of where you stand in this whole dynamic...
Bro, I remember in middle school when everyone wore those fucking shades and no one could see a fucking thing.
It will matter much later on. Similar to Kanye, Anakin is also showing a lot of potential that keeps getting dismissed by the Jedi Order. But regardless of how great Anakin Skywalker might be, there is one thing he can't control: death.
Donda West died earlier this month after complications from cosmetic surgery.
Wait, cosmetic surgeries? What? Wait, what? I didn't know that. Wait, how do you die from cosmetic surgery? I get it, it's surgery and you're under the blade, but damn, like... was there like a trial or anything for like the doctor? Because that seems like very uncommon.
The death of his mom could have been avoidable. He blames himself for not being strong enough to have saved his mother. He blames his newfound journey, and his strong emotion and love for his mom leads him to understand that he must not only become great, but that he must become the greatest Jedi the world has ever seen in order to stop the people he loves from dying. On the other side of the coin, Kanye also blames himself for the death of his mother. His newfound journey and love for fame had put his mom on the spotlight, and Kanye believed that the
Oh. Fuck. That sucks. That makes so much sense too. Like if you put yourself in Kanye's shoes at that time, like you blow up, your mom gets cosmetic surgery. Why does she get it? She's always doing these interviews with you and she wants to look better. Like, damn.
Cosmetic surgery that ultimately killed his mother was his fault and the fault of the spotlight that was beamed on her. Kanye believed that if he had never moved to LA, the death of Donda West would have been avoided. And in his strong grief for the death of Donda West, Kanye understands that he must keep her name alive.
This is another reason why LA sucks ass. Hey, shout out to Sacktown. Those are some real hard folks over there. Them motherfuckers, they ain't like LA, that's for sure.
I appreciate everything, and I know you're really proud of me right now, and I know you wouldn't want me to stop, and you want me to be the #1 artist in the world. And mama, all I'm gonna do is keep making you proud. We run this.
It is at this point that we see the first sign of our heroes perhaps becoming monsters. We see them lose themselves a little bit, and for many, they might refer back to this moment as the moment where they cracked. Anakin Skywalker murdered a village full of people, and Kanye West's music was just never the same afterwards.
I disagree. I think that musicians that are brilliant, when you have a brilliant musician, when you have a genius with whatever it might be, a guitar, a piano, rapping, whatever kind of musical instrument they use, if you can tap into darkness, despair, the emotions that, just suck, dread, jealousy, whatever it might be, and if you're truly at a low state, that is some of the most powerful music can be made. I mean, just look at fucking Nirvana, bro. Like some of the best musicians and actually pieces across all genres are done by some of the most damaged people.
However, both Anakin Skywalker and
brilliant, bro. If you like hip hop,
Kanye West were able to fill that void, if ever so slightly, with the thing that they most loved. And because of that love, they were able to become greater than they ever were before. By the beginning of episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan are damn near equals. Anakin has reached his potential physically and mentally, at least in terms of battle. He understands his limitations as well as the power he holds. On the other hand, Kanye West,
I don't know if he knows his limitations, honestly. There's a reason he didn't have the high ground.
Had also reached a new level with the release of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
That shit was hard.
Additionally, Kanye's big brother figure and mentor in Jay-Z wasn't really a mentor anymore. He was a peer, with the both of them looking eye to eye in terms of critical.
Hot take, bro. Jay-Z, he has some great songs for sure. He is nothing compared to Kanye West. Like, if you look at their discographies, bro, nothing compared to. I think Jay-Z is a legend in the rap game, but I think he's also overrated, to be frank.
And commercial success. Kanye West was on.
This shit went hard though. The Kanye Jay-Z, this is the best Jay-Z album ever. In my opinion, and I'm biased obviously, but dude, I think this is the Otis music video. That shit went hard. This whole album went hard. Fucking what was that one song? It's like something in the jungle. Oh my god, it was so good.
Top of the world, and it was hard to see how he would ultimately fall. However,
this came out freshman year, by the way, and this album was like my theme song, was my track when I crashed out, bro. I crashed out hard in freshman year. Man,
each subsequent day
shit was
became
rough.
harder and harder to ignore. The Kanye West was slipping.
Doctor, sir, is that correct? Yes, correct. I'm just calling for my cell phone to request if we can have some police backup, because I don't think the paramedics, I think he definitely is going to need to be hospitalized.
As Kanye was nearing the big 4-0, the clock was ticking for his time on the spotlight. He wasn't going to be the most famous rapper forever, and Drake was slowly ascending to the top spot. Back in a galaxy far, far away, Anakin Skywalker also saw the writing on the wall as it pertained to the person he loved the most in the whole galaxy as he began to dream about the eventual downfall of Padme. And even though Anakin had matured greatly, his emotions were still his blind spot. The same could be said for Kanye West, who by 2016 had fallen out of the top spot as the most famous rapper. And though for most people they hadn't completely seen Kanye turn to the quote-unquote dark side, the cracks were appearing and they were more difficult to ignore each day. His Life of Pablo tour was a PR disaster.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I really do think that he's neglecting how great he was in music at this time. Like, yes, this was an era. What did he say it was? There's no way it's 2016. But 2016 had a roster of obviously the freshman cypher and stuff like that. You had Uzi, you had 21. It was a new age of rapping, which I think at this point, that those are like the youngest. There's some still like gyms out there that put out bangers and stuff like that. But I feel like I think hip hop is kind of falling apart because they don't have the big heavy hitters anymore making at least heavy hitter music. They still have them, but they're just not producing like they used to.
And furthermore, he drastically changed some of his most impactful relationships. It almost became clear to anybody that was objective that Kanye was closer and closer to the dark side.
Nah, this shit right here, bro, this is the first time I listened to Life of Pablo. I saw that shit on YouTube or something like that. You had Kid Cudi there, bro. That shit went fucking hard. He had Lil Yachty in the crowd listening to, I think it was Ultra Light Beam or something that came on. I think maybe it was Father Outstretch Your Hand or something like that. And dude, Kid Cudi was supposed to be dead, like, still the whole time. And when that shit kicked on, the fucking oh my god, he was just like, hold up, what the fuck is this? Are they telling me to be still?
And the same could be said about Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Having been separated from Obi-Wan while he was on a mission, Palpatine, who I just realized I haven't mentioned at all, but basically the biggest, baddest person in the Star Wars universe, the ultimate evil, if you will.
So ultimate that he dies and comes back again. And I won't be shocked if he dies and comes back again.
He offers Anakin an offer that he cannot refuse. If he joined the dark side, he could teach him how to keep Padme alive. On the other hand, the dark side also tempted Kanye by showing him that the dark side had the attention and fame that Kanye yearned for. After all, Trump was the most powerful celebrity in the world, and that too could be Kanye. And with a massive 5-album rollout just around the corner, Kanye finally gave in.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
Many Kanye...
That's fucking crazy, bro. I remember when that shit... And it's wild, too, because he's acting like there was no revolts or anything like that. Like, there's a lot of famous revolts back when, unfortunately, the African-American population was enslaved majoritarily in America. Like... I don't know why he's even saying this bullshit.
Fans were left distraught, lost for words. The betrayal they felt that Kanye had committed. Had his love for fame led him down a path without recovery? Or were the signs always there? Some people held out hope though. Maybe Kanye was just being duped by his own thoughts. Maybe his emotions had gone...
This shit went hard. He's such a fucking hoe. I love it. It was the most random fucking music video too. This shit went hard though.
The best of them. Similarly, a lot of people thought the same of Anakin. Had Anakin Skywalker been tricked into killing Mace Windu, who I also haven't mentioned, but this is Samuel L. Jackson. He's kind of just Samuel L. Jackson, but he puts down Anakin and he doesn't curse. He also has a purple lightsaber, which is pretty cool. Anyways, with Palpatine having offered him a solution to save Padme, surprise, surprise, Anakin joined forces with the bad guy. At this point, both Kanye and Anakin had found themselves deep in the...
I'm sorry, but like I'm nerding out about like a lot of the music, 'cause I don't get to listen to the music on like videos and stuff like that because of copyright issues and stuff like that. I don't know how this is even working, but Blood on the Leaves, bro, Blood on the Leaves, oh my god. I used to... Okay, I'm gonna take y'all back, bro. In high school, like I got my license and everything, and I didn't have my own car, but we had this family van for like the last 10 years. This big old fucking E350 or 250 or whatever they're called. These big white Ford vans, the weird ones. And I used to whip that van everywhere, bro. Everywhere. I would be whipping it everywhere. I would have the whole fucking team with me, bro. It was great because we could just pack in like 20 people in that car when I first got my license, right? And it didn't have, we didn't have like like some stuff had Bluetooth at that time probably, but I didn't because obviously the car was really old. The van was really old. So much nostalgia with that van, bro. So much, bro. It's crazy. But I had back in the day, we did this thing called burning a CD. If you're young, you might not have heard of it, but what you pretty much did was take all your favorite CDs, you put it onto your computer through iTunes, so you didn't have to rebuy them through iTunes, and then you could make a playlist, and then you could burn that playlist to an empty CD. And Blood on the Leaves was the first song on the track. So every time we got on the whip and turned on the radio, that motherfucker would be bumping, boy.
Pulled to the dark side, relying on their instinct,
Such a
their
good
love,
song.
their own emotion rather than logic and reasoning. This path for Anakin meant killing every Jedi he came across, blinded by love and a lifetime's full of anger and hate. And for Kanye, his last chance at being great, one last time. He was gonna say and do whatever got him attention and prove people wrong once again, as he did back in 2004. Essentially destroying whatever belief and logic and philosophy that he had built up over the...
Okay, he's not talking about a lot of the references to what's going on in his life. To be fair to this guy, one of the wealthiest rappers of all time, right? And this guy did also go broke. And then I think it was with the Life of Pablo, get all his money back pretty much, or get richer than he was. But the Yeezy shoe, I don't know if he's gonna talk about this or not. Like the partnership he had with Adidas, the amount of money that was in that deal, and they were able to freeze it and freeze his banks and shit. Like, it's crazy. They could just freeze your shit because they don't fucking like you. That is unheard of. I didn't know they could do that up to this point. Like that. Oh, that was like an eyebrow raiser. I'm like, I get he's crashing out and shit like that. You know, if he's doing something illegal, then, you know, shouldn't there be like due process or something? Like, what is he doing illegal? You know, obviously he's saying some bullshit that you don't agree with, but I mean, there is a right to freedom of speech in America, which is one of the greatest rights we have. And, you know, that it gives the right to any idiot to say their opinion, right? So I just, it is like, imagine you are very wealthy. You have a very chaotic life, and all your money, a lot of it just freezed up in the banks. And it's not like you're over here selling drugs or anything like that. It's because of something you said. The powers that be are able to just take away your money like that. That is insane. So, like, yes, he crashed out, and he's continued to crash out. And I don't know if it's his mental illness or what it is, but obviously, he's not your ordinary Joe.
Last 2 decades.
You thunder against me? You have done that yourself.
By the end of the trilogy, Anakin had turned to the dark side out of love for Padme. However, he failed to realize that in his pursuit to save Padme from eternal doom, Anakin had failed himself, and more importantly, Padme, who would ultimately die of a broken heart after seeing Anakin Skywalker turn to the dark side.
You know what's crazy about this too? If you think about it, like, when he's going through all these trials and tribulations, Kanye, and, you know, he's... You gotta think, maybe you've always seen red, right? And you have always had a temper, and you always focus maybe on the hate more than the love, or whatever it might be, but you have that kind and loving and comforting soul, that guiding soul of your mom next to you for comfort, and you go to her for guidance and stuff like that. I don't know what their relationship was really like behind the scenes. I've seen videos and stuff like that, and they seemed very joyful together. She seemed like a wonderful mother, but I can see where, you know, losing that could cause you to just run at the red constantly without any hesitation, and it seems like he's been doing it since.
And as for himself, Anakin's rage basically caused him to crash and burn, leading to the death of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader.
So the death of Jesus.
The
the
other side
rise
of the
of
coin
Ye.
reads almost like a prophecy with this in mind. The constant search for greatness had fooled Kanye West, as his drive for fame made him essentially forget what made him famous in the first place. Barely had a fan base that loved him. Failing.
I think it also comes back. It's not just fame. Obviously, the fame, the spotlight. He's in love with it, and he wants it as much as possible. Because it also keeps him relevant. Like the saying, you know, all news is good news or effective news. It's his mindset. You know, you could say the same thing about Trump and stuff like that. But I think he might see the world as a bunch of enemies, and he's just going after everybody that he just doesn't like, and he doesn't give a fuck what people think. But he does, because I mean, we've seen the clip of Sneeko, you know, he definitely cares what people think.
Recognize that the fan base that he now carries isn't a fan base built on loving Kanye West.
Yep, there he is.
A fan base that has essentially forced itself to differentiate Kanye West from Ye. And honestly, in my journey to search for the moment in which Kanye West became Ye, I realized that it's almost impossible to pinpoint a moment where someone flipped side. I hope to use the story of Anakin Skywalker as a frame of reference of finding out how good becomes evil, but I ultimately realized that good doesn't evil. Anakin believed that he was right, and Kanye believes that he's right. And regardless of the fact that the idea of Kanye West, the underdog, the lovable guy, is dead, and the fact that I find myself no longer supporting Kanye West, I came to realize that no one moment made Anakin or Kanye West turn, but it was a collection of moments. As after all, a bad person is just a good person with a dark, twisted fantasy.
That was nice. That was nice.
By the way, I know you're wondering, alright, so if you don't support Kanye, why is he in your outro? This is the idea of Kanye when I made this shit. I fuck with the idea of that guy. Anyways, with that being said, shout out to you Star Wars fans. Shout out to God. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to me because I'm making another video.
Yeah.
And with that being said, shout out to Jay Dilla for being the greatest producer to ever do it. And yeah.
That's a fire video. I feel like there's a lot of Kanye fans out there that feel like they can't support his music, and I think if you look at it, 26,000 views? Dude, this video needs to get more than that. It's a great video, man. Go give him support. Shout out to King Benny Garcia. Phenomenal video. I'm gonna like it and subscribe. This is really cool commentary. I hope y'all liked mine. But I think there's a lot of Kanye fans out there in general that feel almost like a guilt, you know, for liking his music because of the shit he pulls off these days. You shouldn't feel that way. You need to learn how to separate the art from the artist. That's all you can do. And there's evil people, damaged people that do create masterpieces sometimes, and he's done it multiple times. His new music, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Because he doesn't even take it serious, it feels, anymore. So it's not my vibe. I really liked the vibe when he took it serious and it was really about the music. But now he kind of just mistreats the music the same way he pops out and But yeah, let's look at the comment section real quick. See a couple of these real quick. You will be named Darth EA. Yes, Lord Didius. Oh my god. Oh my god, this clan outfit is equivalent to Vader's outfit. It's got some similarities, that's for sure. I believe like Anakin was always Darth Vader, Kanye was always Ye. They always had the core traits of their evil counterparts, but they just had light in their lives that kept them from self-destructing. Exactly. This is a great way of saying it. There's a lot of people that have problematic traits or just, darkness buried deep inside of them. And once those, shining lights in your life go out, and you're left there with nothing but the dark and, even more darkness now because, the lights are gone, which fuels your darkness in general. I'm being vague and, but yeah, no, for sure. That's poetic. But yeah, that's the video, man. Shout out to this guy. Go give him a sub. Man, I didn't expect I would be watching a Anakin Skywalker theory about Kanye West, but I mean the parallels are there for sure. It was a very interesting topic, and I mean he made it 16 minutes. I think he could have done like a 40-minute video on this, honestly, because like there's a lot of stuff that went on with Ye's life in general where it's very, very interesting of how problematic and just like not gaslighting, but how it could ignite that darkness in him. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different reasons. If you just but comment down below your thoughts. I'm curious on what you think on the situation. Do you like Kanye's music? Do you not? Do you still support him? Because I know there's some crazies out there that probably do. And I'm not gonna lie, if there was a song on his new album or whatever it might be, in the next project he has, and it's good, and it's not some weird shit, I'll listen to it, bro. But at this point in my life, I think that Travis Scott has really, at least with his last couple albums, took the sound that Kanye used to have, and made it his own, and it's phenomenal as well. So I'm still getting that kind of genre, because I think Kanye is his own genre by himself. There's a lot of albums he has that I don't think people have really touched or even come close to making. Like The Life of Pablo, the sound of that, bro, it's like a cinematic movie for your eardrums. It's phenomenal. And there's a lot of music like that. But yeah, dude, this is such a good video. Comment down below, like the video, hit that sub button. Let's get to 1K. I talk about a lot of different stuff on here. So you can always give me recommendations and chat it up in the comment section. And it's cool if you want to talk shit. That's cool. Just expect it back. You know what I mean? All right. I'll see you guys. Peace and love. Deuces.